Live.
Live? Wait a minute. We do this live? Oh, that makes my head hurt.
Rattlecan, welcome in.
Hi, everybody.
Ghost Hunter.
What's going on? Hello, nerds. That's my line. Hello, nerds.
Hello, nerds.
And do a little bit of touch-up on some things I see, and then we'll get going.
Nice.
I do what I want.
Hey.
You're not the boss of me.
You do what you want.
You're not the boss of me, Christopher. You can sit there and tell me what you want all day long. Doesn't change things.
You want to know what I want?
Me to be happy. That's the line that usually comes after that question, and it's always a lie.
No, I was going to say to get this thing done already. I'm kidding. I was going to say for you to be happy.
I like the lie of it wanting me to be happy even better.
Wad, 38 months. What were you thinking? That's on you. Thank you for that sub, Wad.
Wad.
38
Hero
months.
Mode. Hero mode, Wad. Thank you, my friend.
Jason is retouching up some doots and deets for all of you who've been on this.
This goes back to that question of when's it finished? It's finished when I say it's finished.
I guess that's true.
Not yet. That's the answer.
Wad. Harsh, but fair. That's right. That's
It's not fair. Stop. It's not fair at all. What are you talking about? There's not a single fair thing about that.
No, I think he was talking about his the 38 months of him being a sub. When I mentioned that's on you.
Okay, that is fair.
That is.
That I feel like that's fair. All right. I think
know,
I'm going to do the sword last because I keep gripping it and knocking stuff off of it. If I paint it now, then when I go to paint everything else, I'm still going to be grabbing this part. So that'll be the last thing we do.
Harsh but fair. Little does a chat know that I have a massive back tattoo that says that. Harsh but fair. And it's beautiful. It's like this just massive like ivy and bougainvillea tattoo.
Chat, you want to know how you know how Chris is lying to you?
Because I'm laughing.
Because he's talking.
Oh! Called me out.
Because his lips are moving.
Could you imagine if I just came on stream and just like harsh but fair unveil?
It just says harsh but fair and like the most elaborate back tattoo in the history of back tattoos.
That's a great idea.
I just don't feel like that's the case.
Wad's gonna do it for me.
I just don't feel like that's the case at all. I feel like we're being lied to, chat.
Flapping them gums. That's right. General Ginkgo.
That's what he's doing. He's flapping them gums.
Big Bobzilla. Is this the dance party I was invited to? Yes. Look at that.
Did you wear the correct shoes? Because I do not have the correct shoes for Chris having a massive back tattoo. I'm starting here.
Oh wow! Just hopping right in.
I don't even care. I don't wait for you guys to catch up. I just go. I start running.
What is this called, Jason?
Running.
What is this thing on his shoulder called?
It's called an emblem. It's the Dark Angels chapter emblem.
Oh, right.
The legally distinct, not bright devils. There's how do I do this? It's angels. It's the Dark Angels. We don't have that's not trademarked. We can just say it's a Dark Angels chapter emblem. There you go. What are you gonna do? Fight me.
It would be the bright demons.
Fight me. But it's not a trademark. It can just be like we can do that. Those words aren't trademarkable. Dark Angels.
What's up, Colonel? It's me and Jason today. Jen is out today, working from home. Welcome everybody else in. Q, harsh but fair tramp stamp. No, that's not happening.
That's what he meant when he said on my back.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
He didn't mention that it was lower back, right above his mankini line.
That's right.
Harsh but fair.
Harsh but fair.
Now it all makes sense to me.
It
was all about placement. Now I get it.
Harsh but fair.
Harsh but fair. Tramp stamp is definitely now. Now we're talking, Christopher.
Surprise, Jet.
Surprise.
That would be objectively hilarious. If I actually had that. That would be hilarious. We're all surviving here with Kenneth Red. Thank you for asking. How are you?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Mo, welcome in.
Good Thursday going on here. Prior to me having to leave for LVO, the rest of the team left for LVO and are setting up the booth right now. So, if you were on the fence about going to LVO and you still have time to make that decision, I might have something that would influence you going.
Oh?
That we didn't announce. Very low key. Very uber surprise. Gabe will be mad at me for even mentioning it.
Uh-oh. What is it?
Well, let me move that off the screen so that I can get your full attention.
Da-da. Da-da.
What? What? What?
Da-da. A red wizard's butt?
No, that can't be. That had to be some sort of weird trick of camera, Hollywood nature. Chris is a tricky Hollywood guy.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I have a tramp stamp that says harsh but fair. But that bottle, who knows? Who knows? Might not even be real. Anybody at LVO? Speaking of LVO?
Anybody in the wonderful, horrible land of Las Vegas?
I was just about to say, is anybody at or excited about it being in Vegas?
I do not like Vegas. Not one bit.
Rattlecan, now I got to drive to Vegas. That's right.
You do have to drive to Vegas now.
So why are you painting with basic old, but not painting with busted burnt red? That's right, T. Schmidt. That's funny.
I'm not using new hotness.
Busted.
I'm using old busted, not new hotness.
Busted burnt red. That's hilarious.
Why aren't you painting with new hotness? Little old busted.
Q's asking, do you still recommend a con like Adepticon if you're simply a board gamer and do not play war games, etc.?
I think that for board games, if you're really into board gaming and even board games that involve miniatures and such, then Gen Con is the show for you. Gen Con is all about gaming, tabletop gaming in general. Adepticon is wargaming. LVO, wargaming. You know, are there some things there with people that might be showing off board games? Sure. We show off our games. Our games are not miniature games. They're board games, you know, card games. So, you know, you can find people there that would have stuff that would appeal to you, but all in all, they're built around the miniature wargaming world. So I would say that your better bet is to attend things like Gen Con. Even like PAX Unplugged. Great events for tabletop gaming. WonderCon.
I'm not saying this for any particular reason, but I'd bet your class would go even better if everyone had a bottle of Wizard's Butt under their seat. You get a Wizard's Butt. You get a Wizard's Butt.
So now you're saying you have to be bribed to come spend time with me?
Oh, man.
Thought we was friends.
Cool. I do attend Dos Gaming's game cons, but I do like the miniature painting aspect of a war game con.
Yeah. Well, then things like Adepticon are great because there are a tremendous amount of people that are focused on the hobby. There's 24-hour like hobby tabling and people hanging out painting and classes and stuff like that is tremendous. There's a big art side to Adepticon. It's really the only show that has that kind of huge impact to it, though.
The hobby side, you'd say? The hobby
side, yeah.
It's probably the biggest hobby con.
Yeah, oh yeah, by far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tremendous. You know, you get all the vendors there with all the different hobby supplies and paint lines and all that. Everybody will be there at the show.
We'll be there.
We're, of course, there.
Oh, yeah. Big year.
So yeah, it's a tremendous show. I always say if you have any loving of miniatures, you know, for the art side and you love painting and the hobby, then Adepticon is worth it.
Kidda,
regardless if you ever roll dice and play combat games, war games, that's irrelevant almost. Although it is a show focused on that. So,
Kidda, good question. New to tuning in, what is Wizard's Butt? I'll let Jason explain that one.
I mean, I don't know. What is Wizard's Butt?
That's a good. There it is.
What color is Wizard's Butt? So we have a commercial that Christopher shot for us before he was an employee here, as a matter of fact.
That was Almost 3 years ago.
Isn't that crazy to say?
Yep.
So almost 3 years ago, we released a commercial wherein my nephew was in it. And it was a funny tongue-in-cheek commercial of me walking through our building, being irreverent and just having a good time. And at one point, I'm saying that, we like to keep it simple, just like the names of our paints. And, because our paints are called things, I know, crazy names like blue and burnt red, so that you know what you're getting. So we take a more traditional, art approach to our naming rather than things like, dragon jaw or wizard's butt. And so my nephew was like, what the heck kind of color is wizard's butt anyway? Just mocking, poking fun at our competition where all of their paint names are something stupid.
Yep.
That you can't tell what color you're getting because what the hell color is wizard's butt? That was a joke. And we just kind of took it into making paints occasionally where our production team will mix together some remnants of other pigments that we have to create colors that are not in the line, that are very limited. We might make, a few hundred of this color of wizard's butt, and then we use them as special promo things. We give them away as prizes to people during our monthly challenges. We are giving away to people who show up with models at LVO that have been painted with Pro Acryl, and you take a selfie with the group at the booth and then post it on your socials and tag us, then you'll get a bottle of free wizard's butt. So, fun stuff. Just used to be fun. Just a cool community fun thing that we do.
Elliot says, I've fallen in love with mini painting in the last couple months and just wanted to let you know I really appreciate your stream as a complete newbie. Elliot, we'd love to hear that.
That makes my day. Thank you. That's awesome.
That's
the whole reason we do this is to just try to get people more excited about miniature painting. All of the phenomenal things you can experience with miniatures is fantastic, right? It's such an open world now where there is so much content. It doesn't even matter what you like. If you like fantasy, sci-fi, hell, now you can just be a Marvel fan, and there's miniature painting for you.
All the NCP stuff.
Just about anything that you want, you can find in miniature with the advent of 3D printing, especially. Go on Etsy, type in, what did we say? We've said, come up with all sorts of weird things, and people go check out My Mini Factory and Etsy, and they'll find it.
Yeah.
So no matter what your thing is, you want killer clowns from outer space, there's models for that.
Some people get into it because of the gaming. Some people get into the art or just to want to do something tangible. There's a bunch of different ways to get into it, but we appreciate that you're here.
100%.
If you're all just tuning in, we finished up yesterday the non-metallic gold on Anthony here. And that is basically the last 3 streams if you go back and look at our past VODs. And now we're kind of working on the emblem here and then maybe the sword?
Who knows?
Maybe, who knows?
I mean, you're giving me a lot of credit thinking I can move fast enough to do 2 things.
I was like, okay, and we're going to do the emblem, then the sword's coming.
I don't know about all that.
I know.
I need you to settle down over there,
Sorry,
Christopher.
I'm excited.
Settle down over there, Christopher.
That's what happens.
Don't get people's expectations too high. I don't know how to react to all this. So first, I'm going to mix a little bit of the pyro red with the burnt red, and we'll start doing a light coverage coat on these feathers that are closer up towards our lighting direction.
T. Howard's asking, does the 1/35th scale military figures fall under the miniature category?
By and large, when you see stuff in painting competitions, it does. When you are talking about like at Adepticon, very rarely will you see 1/35th scale stuff because it's all like wargaming people. Not that it's not still considered miniature, but when you go to like larger miniature based like painting competition shows, Monte San Savino in Europe, the Capital Palette at Nova Open, those types of shows will have a presence of 35th scale, military scale model stuff for sure.
Capt Beardy has a good question. I know the non-metallic gold is finished, but could you explain how
Nothing on this model is finished.
Oh, I guess that's true, right?
Nothing on this model is finished yet. Everything is done to about what I would call 75 to 80%. Remember, I don't finish things until we dial it all in at the end.
Yep.
But it's close.
Can you explain how the approach changes with non-metallic metal painting depending on if you're going for a pristine polished versus a grim dark beat up look?
The general 50,000 foot rule is that your transition from light to dark will happen over a longer distance. The more dingy the metal is. The shinier it is, the quicker it will go from very bright to very dark, because that very dark is no longer a shadow. That very dark is a dark reflection of something in the nearby environment. Right? So you'll have many more transitions from super bright to dark on very well polished things, and you'll have longer blends from dark to light. So you'll have more mid-tone brightness going in. The more like what I would call stainless steel or brushed aluminum that you want it to look like. We have, if it's here on the desk, I don't know if since we cleaned up I still have. Yeah, I do. So I have the pencil and the spoon. This is a thing that we have talked about years and years. I have these two things. I have a spoon that is, while being dirty, is more polished, right? And so the thing you'll notice from both the shape of the spherical shape of the dish of the spoon, but even on the handle, is notice how the bright reflections immediately side by side with dark reflections. The dark reflections being the ceiling and walls in the room, and the bright reflections being the light. Okay? So the darkness on this spoon is no longer a shadow, right? I can still cast a shadow on the spoon if I put my hand over it, but then it's the reflection of my hand you see in the spoon, and the shadow gets cast there, right? Because you're taking the light away, right? So, but it's still, even there you can see around the neck here of the handle, even when I put it into shadow, you still have very bright doots and deets, and then very dark lines. That's how you know it's polished. But when you look at it in direct light, you're seeing like the color of the light because the reflection, the color of my skin in the reflection, the kind of general shape of the light being, circular or round, right? So you have a lot of definition to the environment, color, darkness, a lot more reflectiveness will give you that. So the shinier an object is, the more it will act like this, the more you have to pull your dark reflections close to your bright reflections, right? Then, when we switch over to something that is brushed or dingy and battle-worn, look at the difference. Look at the difference on this clip that is brushed aluminum or brushed spring steel, and look at when I get some darkness on there versus bright light shining directly at it. The angle is the same. Let me hold this pencil, and then let me put the spoon, let me get the handle where it's not as concave, on the exact same plane and look at the difference, right? See how the spoon goes much brighter because it's so much more reflective, so you're getting much more of the intensity of the light that's hitting the surface is bouncing back to your eyes, which makes it brighter. Whereas the pencil on the left is duller light because it's being diffused. The pencil has texture to it in the metal, which gives it that dull look. And then notice how long you have to go from your brightest spot, which is right here, to your darkest spot over here. Even if I bring the dark spot in, look at how long that blend is. You no longer know the shape of the light, right? It's just a bright spot, and then it blends to darkness eventually. Whereas here, you still can see the light. You can still see the elliptical shape of the light in the reflection, right? And the darkness around it. Okay? So that's a big deal. That's the biggest thing you need to learn, is that it's how your light, your dark spots play together. Right? I get a longer blend. I go from bright to mid-tone to darker to darker to darker when it's, and then I do a bright edge highlight. See how I still have a bright edge highlight around this? That gives me my hard surface. And then the more polished it is, the more I have to go and vary my contrast in different places based on how the light would hit the raised surfaces and such. Right? So that's what we've done here. Right?
Nice. Welcome in, everybody. Tag us if you have any questions. Kaida is asking, I do have a question. Is Bold Pyro Red the same pigment as Artist Pyro Red's PR254?
Yes. It is a pure Pyro Red pigment.
Cap Beardy, thank you for the explanation with the visual aids. Absolutely. Kind of, I greatly appreciate the insight of polished versus worn metal. Yep. It definitely is a great example. Especially how the light hits it and does different things, especially on something that is more worn.
Yeah, the more polished it is, the more it brings the environment into play.
Yeah.
The more you can see of the reflected stuff around it. Color. You think about a mirror is as high a polish as you're going to get. A mirror that's not distorting the image, right? When you go look in the mirror in the morning in the bathroom, that's a very polished surface.
Blood Walrus, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody.
You can polish metal to a mirror-like finish to where it will show, it will still distort because the metal is not as smooth as glass necessarily, so it'll still distort a little bit of the image. But you can polish metal to an almost mirror-like chromed finish to where when you look in it, your face may be like circus mirror kind of obscured in there or deformed based on the ripples in the metal and the shape of it, because not completely flat like the glass would be. But yeah, you can get that kind of shininess. You just have to remember to bring in all those features of the environment into it. A lot of times I don't like the way that translates when painting because it looks fake. So I don't like painting like mirror chrome. Some people will do it, and 99.9% of the artists out there that do it get it wrong because they forget that the shape of the material will distort the image, so they'll just paint the reflection of trees and mountain range in the background and forget that it wouldn't read as it, you could tell it was meant to be a tree reflecting, but it wouldn't be straight up and down. If you're doing a shield, it'll distort into a crescent shape around the edges because of the circular reflection. But that's very advanced, physics and geometry that you're having to put into play of how the light is actually hitting the surface and refracting back. Yeah. Pay attention to the fact that when you're driving, this is one of the funny things that I'll tell you. A lot of cars have this weird concave shape on their back deck lid, like all these little SUVs.
Yeah.
Have a little concave pocket below the rear window. And so when you pull up as a car behind them, the reflection of your car in the back of that SUV will be upside down. Because the concave cavity, and you can imagine this is the back hatch, right? There's a window, and underneath it is this concave cavity that runs along. It's just a detail, right? It's like the thing just kind of swoops into the license plate holder, right? Well, that swoop in causes light to reflect differently. And when you pull up to it, right, your car reflection is upside down. You'll look in it, and your car is upside down. You'll see the top of your car and then down to your headlights. And the reason is because of the way the light is hitting it off of your car into that, being bent and then shoved back down to you and seeing it on the way your eyes appear, is that it's flipped that entire thing upside down, even though there's no mirrors involved, right? It's because that concave shape and how it reflects light into itself forms that image. And so a lot of painters forget that stuff. So I try to stay away from highly mirror surfaces when painting because it's really difficult and causes you to spend a tremendous amount of time to get that scene right. And I'm kind of a stickler for the realism if you're going to shoot for that.
Jeremy's asking, sorry, I'm sure you've covered this, so apologies. No apologies needed. We always love the questions. Without a wet palette, how are you keeping your paint from drying out in AZ climate? I'm at 30% humidity, and it's a battle.
I don't use a whole lot. If I pull this over, just so you can see in scale, right? I don't put a whole lot of paint down, and I can use most of that. You'll see like here's a droplet of gold that I used for something when I was showing. I think we were showing people how I might do something with metallic, and I put out more paint than I was going to use in the demo. But here's a little drop of the bright pale yellow I was using. Here's my reds that I'm mixing together. I'm not doing anything special. You can see there's a little bit of paint that's built up here that was wasted. Has a little bit of a dimension to it like that, right? But I put out small droplets, use it all up, put out another small droplet. Try to avoid putting a lot of paint out, and you're fine. You say you're at 30% humidity. We're probably at 7.
Well, yeah, 7.
We average about 7 to 8% humidity in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And so, we don't know what humidity is. And we don't humidify. We don't use anything to change or alter. If anything, in the summer, we're running the air conditioner all the time. It dries it out even more. And in the winter, running a heater dries it out even more. So, we don't do anything. I suggest you don't do anything. You don't add anything to the paint. No drying extenders, nothing like that. Just use smaller droplets. Pull all of out of the droplet you need to paint your model. A big thing to remember, whether you're using a dry palette or a wet palette, let's put a little paint out here. Right? Just as a quick...
I also have the palette cam if you need it.
It's not zoomed in enough.
Oh, that's a good point.
I want to show you something up close. So I'll let you know when I'm set. Mm-hmm. Right. So, right. This is my droplet. If I'm going to be thinning, and in my video where I show you on YouTube how I thin for painting, I will pull paint out of this droplet and use it down here is where I'll pull from. Unless I just am painting with it right out of the bottle, then I'll grab it up here and that's fine. But normally when I'm thinning, I'll pull it down here and this will thin. And so I'm just taking a very little bit of paint and spreading it out. This will dry very quick. I'll probably only be able to get paint off of this, go to the model, maybe come back, get a little bit more, go back to the model, and then when I come back, this will be dry. So that won't last me very long. But the droplet is still good, so I'll go ahead and pull more paint down in here, right? And keep painting that way. It doesn't ever add anything to the droplet. I'm not putting the brush into the droplet. A lot of people on their palette will make the mistake of doing this. You'll go in and say, okay, I want to paint with this, and you'll do this. And you'll spread your droplet of paint out. It still feels like it's thick, and then you'll get your point and you'll go paint. What you've done is you've just now made way too much surface area for this amount of paint. That paint used to be in this little, like an area about like that was my droplet. Now I made it an area like this. Which one dries faster? The larger one. So do not spread your paint out on the palette because you're creating a lot more air touching your paint. There's this much air as opposed to this much air. This much air touching your paint accelerates the evaporation of the water in the paint 100-fold. This paint will dry super fast and not be near as usable as the little droplet where I'm pulling paint out to the side and using it down here. So efficiency is keeping it in a droplet, pulling it out to the side, using it, letting that dry up, pulling out more, pulling out more, pulling out more. You'll see that's how I do all of my painting on the palette. And I don't ever have a problem with it, like drying too quick for me to use it or feeling like I'm in a race against time with the paint. Nah. Small drops, use it till it's gone, put a little droplet back out. You don't ever feel like you're wasting anything that way.
Iterators, nice 35-day stream streak.
Awesome.
Oh, Max has got a good question. What are the must-have brush sizes for someone getting into miniature painting or painting miniatures? And what would the contents of a Jason Craze weapon rack be?
Ooh, I love it. A 2, a 4, and a 6 would be the brushes I use the most, with the 2 and the 4 being the ones that get the heavy lifting most of the time. The 6 is my base coating brush. I'll do a lot of like on a bust like this, I use a 6 a lot more because I'm putting most of my base coats down with a 6.
Yeah.
And then I'm moving into the 4 for details and the 2 for, the 4 is what I'm using right now. And the 2 then for like really tiny stuff like doing maybe the eye or the ear or something where I have to go back into an area where I don't have as much maneuverability space and I need to, really play, we call it play an operation. I need to get in and get the little thigh bone out without making the nose light up. So I'll use a smaller brush for that. But typically a 2, 4, and a 6 are the only ones that I ever use. Occasionally you'll see me like if I'm dotting an eye or doing a deet in a little bitty tiny location, I'll get a small brush. But the thing with the smaller the brush you go, the less time you have to get that paint on the model because it can't hold enough paint to keep it wet long enough. So then you start being against the clock. So if you're using too small of a brush in a dry climate, something that we can go back to what I just talked about on the palette paper, if your brush is too small and it's dry where you are, now when you put the paint on the brush and you get over to the model, it doesn't paint very well because it's dried on the bristles because there's not enough bristle space for it to hold enough moisture to combat it drying live on the brush. So go with a bigger brush, right? All of your brushes should hold a good point. Like this number 4 holds as good a point as any of the smaller brushes I'm going to use for the bulk of what I'm doing. So that's not a problem. The Jason Craze weapon rack is Sam set and all synthetic. No, he uses a 0, 1, and a 3. I don't ever use a 1 or a 0. Very rarely. I'm a 2, 4, 6. He uses a 6 and then 0, 1, 3. So similar, but I'm a 246 guy. I'm big round brushes is what I use for most of my stuff, and that doesn't matter if I'm painting something small. I mean, we did the same thing. This was, a 4 and a 6 for the bulk of what we did on this guy. I probably only used the 2 to maybe scribe in the wood grain on the handle there that wasn't in the sculpt. So even smaller gaming miniatures, same sizes. I never really change.
What's the millimeter scale of this bust? 54?
I don't know. Scale is weird because the bust has a size to it, and the bust is probably 60 millimeters, tall, and maybe 80 millimeters wide. If we're talking scale, this is probably maybe a 250 millimeter bust, because if you drew to his feet, that's where we talk about that scale. But because it's cut him off at like under the breast line, but he's probably 60 millimeters tall, 80 the bottle is 85 millimeters, so he's 90 to 100 millimeters wide. I think I said the other day it might be 105 across here, but it's like 90 to 100 millimeters wide and probably 60, 75 millimeters tall.
I think that answers your question there, Proactive.
He's 1.3 bottles wide. Yeah, exactly. I only know how to measure off of my thumb. He's 1.5 thumbs. Why should the king be the only one that gets a system of measurement? This is all based on Jason Craze's thumb size.
If you all have questions, be sure to tag Monument Hobby so I see them. Papa Chicken, resub with Prime, 5 months. Thank you so much, Papa Chicken.
Hero mode, Papa. Thank you. Just going to call him Papa from now on. Hey, Paul.
Awkwardish Panda. Look, if I can be on a TTRPG show where measure everything in raccoons, we could definitely measure mini by bottles.
In raccoons? I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued. I will forego the need to measure things in my thumb size if you can convince me that we should be using raccoons instead. I want a pet raccoon so bad.
What?
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
I would love to have a pet raccoon. I have seen the videos.
I've seen those videos.
I've seen the videos on the Tic Tacs with the kids and their crazy raccoons. And they look all cuddly. Instead of a raccoon, what about opossums? Nah.
It's all about those little bandit hands.
Nah, I would want a raccoon or a... What's the little... It looks kind of like a possum. It has like a little snout, and it kind of rolls up like a pill bug into a ball.
Armadillo.
No, it doesn't have a hard shell. It has like fur.
Oh, I don't know.
Not an otter. No, I don't want an otter.
I want an otter. Possum festival.
Where they eat them?
What?
I'm used to festival meaning that's the food they serve. Hedgehog. I want a hedgehog.
Hedgehog. There it is.
Yes, I want a hedgehog. A pangolin. What is that? I want a hedgehog.
Oh, interesting. Here's a good one from Sarcastic Grandpa.
It's a good thing Mike's not here. Otherwise, we get a box with a bunch of holes in it show up next week.
With a bunch of
raccoons.
raccoons.
We open it up, and it's a bunch of hedgehogs and a raccoon that have decided to become family.
Sarcastic Grandpa's... I have a dwarf mini holding a wooden beer stein filled with beer.
Okay.
How would you go about painting the beer foam?
Beer foam. Interesting.
I was going to say the snow texture would actually be kind of fun.
We have painted beer foam before. Jen did it's funny because there's only been one miniature I can think of that we've done that on in years. And it was the foam? Sergeant Titanicus from Monster Apocalypse. It was she was holding the beer truck, which I think the beer truck was called like Suds. Interesting. And it was a beer truck, like a big gas truck, and it was busted open and suds were coming out of it as she was holding it. She's this, she's the giant woman from outer space kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And because
I haven't seen that around here.
Yeah, so she painted it and we talked about it, and I really like that kind of start with like a burnt orange almost, and then go into yellow ochre, bright yellow ochre, bright pale yellow, much the same coloring that I've done here with this gold. But because you're not making paint strokes be like fine edge details, these colors work very well, minus the greens and the purples you wouldn't use, right? But like the orange oxide into the bright yellow ochre into the bright pale yellow would be the colors I would use. So it gives it kind of a yellowishness to it. You know, the head on a beer is usually more of a white foam, but the yellowishness, I think, gives it something that you're looking for. And if the beer is kind of a golden ale, then it works really well. But the bright pale yellow gives it kind of a whitish nature. So same colors. It's a great timely question because, you know, you use the same color palette I just did for non-metallic gold to paint a totally different material, to paint suds.
Wad saying we need a texture trainer that is the brush goop art. A horse texture trainer.
Q Lanu, though, he says, I'm in Louisiana, sir. If it moves, it is edible. I am with you. I'm a Texan. I came to Louisiana to hunt quite a few times. A beer golem. That's awesome. What's your strategy for painting parts that are through a jungle of other details of a model? Swooping hair, crossed arm, basically buried parts that you can still see when turning the model. Start with those first so that you're not getting the paint. That way you can be sloppy when painting them. And then you're defining the areas around them that it become easier and easier to reach as you come. We call it painting from the inside out. Paint the deep parts first. That's why we started with his face and skin, because the neck is deep inside the armor there. I wouldn't want to have to go paint any more than just some fine detailing of light on that skin if I had already painted the gold like this. So even though the forehead's easy to paint without messing up the rest of the model, there's part of the skin that is using the same colors that I need to paint that's buried in the model. So I start with the skin, right? Then we started with the black armor because it's nestled into those areas. Now I've messed up. Here's a crucial mess up that I've done here. There is a portion of cloth for like the cape thing that he has that goes underneath the shoulders. And I got carried away and wanted to do the gold. And now I got to go in and find a way to very delicately maneuver around and get those things painted in there without messing up any of the gold.
Oh, that's his cape.
Well, it's the thing that holds his cloak on. It's like on the real model, it's a tabard.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right? He has like these things that's like a cloth tabard that comes over the front, and it's sort of a similar thing to that on this other model. So
that's the original one, right?
This is the one we don't have to give a funny name to. This is Lionel Johnson. But you can tell that like the Dark Angels is on the left shoulder and the Lion's on the right shoulder on him versus the.
You've painted a couple of these because you painted another one too, right?
Oh, the 40K version too, yeah.
Oh, there's right.
Yeah, the 40K version we painted too.
Is that up here?
No, it's on one of the tables.
Okay. Don't eat the yellow snow texture paint. Yeah.
No, yes, correct.
Nope, but yes.
Correct. Don't eat any of the paint, especially not the yellow snow. It usually takes you 4 beers to get the beer looking okay. Yeah, you just need a reference picture. You just need a good reference of a beer in front of you. Unfortunately, the foam on real beer goes away too quickly, so you have to drink a lot.
Only takes 4 beers
to get it looking right. I love the fact that your beer goggles are on and that's when your model looks better. That's what I got out of that whole statement.
That's great.
4 beers and everything looks great. Jade, what's going on? Only ever display him face on, never reveal the secret. Just like the back of Jordan's Horus. That chump didn't ever finish his model until we caught him. And then he finished it and then he said, oh yeah, it's finished. Cheater. And somehow you people voted for him to tie with me.
Oh.
That hurts. That was the pain. That was the day I knew chat was against me.
Yeah.
That was the day I knew it was all over. The friendship was a lie. The love was a lie. You just take, and never give, chat. I asked you for one thing, your honesty. You couldn't give it to me.
Dang. That's real. That's real.
It still hurts. I'm still sad about it.
Harsh, but true.
That's Wad?
That's Wad.
How did I know?
No, I just said that because it's on my back.
Oh, okay. Harsh, but true, because that's your tramp
Wad
stamp.
did say it earlier. That's right.
Your tramp stamp.
If y'all didn't know, we unveiled my back tattoo earlier in the stream. Harsh, but true. No, we didn't. That's a lie.
No regrets.
No regrets. I'm painting some stern guard in the Imperial Fist fashion and the front robes. I don't know if I want to depaint as red or black. Do you have any videos on painting black cloth? I believe there's a short on that, actually.
Yep. It's kind of a beaten black cape on the hunter, I believe.
Yep.
On our
Yeah,
YouTube
you'll be able
channel
to see his cloak.
that Jordan did that works really, really great for that.
No, Panic Bomb. He's not banished. Jordan will be with us very soon.
Orange, red. Or, for those of you not in America, orange rot. I don't know if that's how you pronounce those. I feel like orange is fake French and rot is German. But hey, you didn't come here for a language class, did you? Hopefully not. Jesus. Can you imagine? I learned all my English from Slow Fuse. Oh, man.
A lot of dudes, a lot of deets, a lot of scritches.
Yeah, I was hoping to teach you painting. I don't know that language class was what we were shooting for here, folks.
And measurements and raccoons?
We measuring raccoons?
What's going on in here?
I'm down. Like I said, that's the best thing I've heard in a long time. I gotta make sure I didn't get paint all over my fingers. One of my biggest faux pas that for years I've been able to hide most of it from the crowd. Every now and then I'll get like on my thumb palette a wet one and I'll I'll move the model across it and I'll look and it'll be like a big smear here and I'm like, oh man. We don't talk about that on stream.
Oh my gosh.
We don't like to talk about that too much. That's my secret. That's not for you guys to know.
Law Dog just posted the black cloth short. Thank you, Law Dog. Ethan, that'll take you directly to the short. Zazin says, model's looking good. Yeah, man, it's all right. Pretty good.
You know, for an old guy.
You're all just tuning in, painting up the emblem today. Yesterday we finished, or no, we did not finish. We sort of finished the non-metallic gold. The final steps probably be later, right, Jason? Just in general.
I like to use the terminology. We progressed that part of the model
there it is,
to the point where we're ready to move to the next part of the model.
Yeah, I guess you're finished when you're finished. I always say that, but no.
Everything requires dialing in. So, you know, when you want to be done with a part, you got to be honest and say, well, I got to wait until all the other parts are ready to be done before I can decide what's finished. You know, because all of these are open for change.
Yep.
I never want to lock myself in, and I don't paint that way. I don't paint to have a part be done before I go paint something else, or very rarely do I.
Zazin saying the armor is definitely looking black now. Are you going to brighten up the face?
Yes. Yeah, we were discussing that yesterday.
Yep.
The face will have to be brightened up because now all of the brightness that we've done with the non-metallic, which is why I was on such a hot move to get to the non-metallic gold. Yeah. Because the non-metallic gold is the brightest thing on the model, which it should be. Okay?
Right.
And so once I have the brightest thing done to a level that I'm starting to be happy with, then I will start to define the darkness and brightness of everything else. And you made a good point. The black armor starts to darken up too. So I kept the armor brighter than I really wanted it, knowing that the brightness of the gold when I did that would make that armor look darker. So if I just paint the black armor to a point where it looks really super dark and black, then you paint something bright next to it, and then all of your shine goes away. Then it's too dull. So I leave everything brighter or darker based on the color that it is. Like with skin, I leave skin darker because it's a brighter color already. And dark things I leave brighter than I want them. And then I put the brightest thing that I'm going to put on the model and see how it focuses everything. If the dark stuff that I left bright is still too bright, then you can still darken it down very easily. And vice versa, the skin. If the skin becomes too dark, which it did here, then we'll brighten it up. Right? Now that would be good color of skin if we were going for that kind of bronzed, South American, Central American type flesh, Middle Eastern flesh, something like that. Even Asian flesh, that would read really well. But we want it to be brighter, not quite pale, but just brighter Caucasian flesh. So you like swarthy Antonio El Tigre though? Yeah, he is like pirate skin.
Very
Caribbean.
Very almost seasoned look, like a worn work kind of look. Somebody's asking, Beard Hammer was asking where the bust is from.
Artel W.
Artel W?
Yeah, I believe it's Artel W. Ukrainian, I believe Ukrainian
cool.
site that does some legally distinct, fun, legally distinct things like busts of Primarchs that you can't get anywhere else, which I'm a fan of. So yes.
Dripstick. So I got red oxide, burnt red, bold pyro red. Would these be enough to paint a red cloak, or do I need a dark burgundy for the shadows? I have a Nova orange that might be good for the highlights.
No, I think, it's always depends on how dark do you want it to read. There's no reason why you have to go to like a mahogany or a deeper color for a shadow if you're going to go as bright as something like Nova orange mixed with pyro red, or I'm using the orange red right now as a bright highlight, right? And so all I've done is burnt red, pyro red, orange red. You could go to mahogany, and I could still use something like a mahogany to bring some shadow on here, or what I probably am going to do is Payne's gray onto the bottom side of these feathers once I get it all figured out. So it's up to you.
I think also Jordan did a fun little red cloak short too, where he utilized transparent red.
Yep. At the end to kind of bring it all back into focus. Works really well. The orange red is just enough brighter than pyro red that I can use it as that first highlight before I start figuring out what I want to mix into it. Because on red armor, I typically will use pale pink. I like to have metal highlight to pink and plastics highlight to orange. That's just a personal preference. But the orange red will keep it centered on red, right? So that gives me a good red start. So now I will go, I could do a flesh tone added in with a red, and it keeps it warm, but I kind of want to cool it off. I like the black armor. I like the warmth of the yellow that we have going on the gold right now. And so the red, I don't want to be too reddish. So again, the pale pink added in is going to be a good clincher for that. And I can add the pale pink into either the pyro red or to the orange red and have the same effect. And since I use the orange red last, that's probably where I'll start. See how I like the orange red with the pale pink. In your head canon that the emblems on Space Marine armor is plastic, not metal. I tend to think that it's more of a metal or a ceramite or some sort of space age hard surface. So no. Like I said, with metal armor, I tend to move towards pinkish highlights. I'll use flesh tones in it to get to my highlights, and then when I'm doing my edge highlights, I like to use pale pink. This is pale pink over the top of almost exactly what I've done here, except that I use dark plum and Payne's gray to start my Blood Angel red, right? But it's very similar, right? With the orange red as a way to highlight, and then I would normally use warm flesh into that to get this kind of, we call it eclectic salmon, a salmon color that you get for your final highlight, and then do that with pale pink. Since I don't have as much depth and coloring here, I don't know that I'll do that. It might be worth it now that I'm thinking about it, because I do have a bright light area here at the shoulder, so I might want to introduce some of that in before I do the actual edge highlight color. So yeah, let's do that. I'll show it to you. Warm flesh. We'll take a detour through warm flesh here real quick. Right. Warm flesh is a nice yellowy flesh tone. It still has enough of a peach feel to it that you can use it with skin, and it works really well. It's one of the colors that I will start adding in to the advanced flesh tone for the highlights on his skin.
Iterator, someone needs to document each video and paints used in them. Yes, that's what I've started to do with the, essentially...
Since the beginning of the year.
Since, essentially now also in the condensed versions of these VODs, right? I'm able to put those in and actually make YouTube cards for them. I also, at a certain point, I believe YouTube actually allows me to put links in the description for, obviously I can do that for each paint, but I think at a certain amount of subscribers that we get or something, we get a special tag that I can make products easier. But I've also been going through the process and making sure I put links in all of our descriptions, and my next big endeavor is also doing that with the stream descriptions as well as the main video description, making it way easier for you guys. That is my goal, especially because for an example, there's a stint of the black armor last week where he was just using white blue, right? Though there could be stints that way, so I can put them in there, but also, it gets a little bit more involved on like when you use it and when you don't use it and all that stuff. But yes, that is a very good suggestion. What's Payne's Gray and what is it used for? Belcor is asking.
A fantastic shade. It is a dark bluish black color almost. And I use it for a ton of shading. Shadows typically want to feel a lot cooler than the rest of the surfaces on the model, temperature-wise. So blues work really great for shadows. And Payne's Gray fills that niche, but also being a dark, blackish style color. It gives you a lot to work with in that vein.
Figure Drawing is asking, what is your commission scale in terms of pricing?
We don't do commissions.
Mm-hmm.
We're a paint manufacturer. And so we just do this stream as a way to promote the hobby, to show you all the wonderful things that we can get you interested in painting. But yeah, we don't do any commissions. We make the wonderful paints and paint brushes that you see us using. They're sold worldwide. We are Monument Hobbies. Our paint is called Procryl. So yeah, it's very difficult to get me to paint a model. Mm-hmm. It's happened. It's happened in the past. We did the Bold Sense of Humors.
The Bold Sense of Humors.
Right, the Bold
you
Sense
did
of Humors.
Phillips and Usheron.
Yeah, and Usheron I painted.
But you just also like that model too.
Yeah, I was like, I told Philip, I told
cool
the guy
model.
Phil, I was like, I've been dying to paint that model. And he's like, I have two. And I was like, well, one of them's getting painted. I offered to paint Chris's Gargant. And he turned it down, chat.
I did. I
offered to paint a model for Chris, and he said no.
So here's...
Let him dig his way out of that hole.
I'm not going... No, I've made 3 huge mistakes in my life, and that was one of them. The other 2 I don't know yet. But the... I at some point would like to take my Gargants. My Gargants are like I call my Mission from God pieces, because how I personally have felt about how I painted my old Gargants, which I didn't really paint them. I kind of obliterated them with textures and real rocks and stuff like that. So now I'd like
you
to...
treated them like their own individual dioramas. You had a very unique sense. It was funny because it's a big laughing moment for a lot of us internally, because when I met Christopher, he was introduced to me as wait till you see his models. That's how I knew who Chris was. It was, is this Chris that I'm supposed to wait till I see his giants? And everybody was like, that's him.
Oh, no.
And he pulled them up out. So it's been a good thing. But you've been on a heck of a journey with regards to your learning to paint, feeling comfortable with painting. What I always loved is that you didn't let not having a confidence in painting stop you from enjoying your models and playing the game.
Yeah.
You went a different route. He covered them with like basing materials and stuff and made them like stone giants to where they were very earthy. They had like twigs and stuff coming out of them. They looked like big stone golems.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. It had a neat vibe to it. And while it's fun and we could kind of poke at you, the reality is that he got over a sense of not being able to do what everybody else was doing,
100%.
but still was able to go and partake. So I love you for that, because it's like, that's so great to see that happen.
Yeah, I've definitely have been on the hero's journey when it comes to being like, oh, I now have the confidence with some of the concepts I've learned from Jason and using Monuments paints, that now I have the confidence to approach that project And now I want to redo them like stone golems, like still the same thing, but I want to paint it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because now you have the skill.
Now I have the ideas, and at some point I'll have to sit Jason down, and I'd love to actually concept it. Right. I would love to actually concept. Okay, how do you approach painting a big stone giant? Right. But that is my long-winded excuse for when I said no to Jason. Although I should have just had him painted just because
I was going to say, because I think it was your fun. King Broad I wanted to paint.
I know. Mistakes were made. But
and then instead, to get him back, I painted one of our own.
I know. Which actually came out great, too.
So that he could watch it happen.
If you want a really good big skin, right, that VOD was great. See, that VOD also was, got me thinking about, I'd love to do 2 versions of Giants now. I want to see some amazing mustaches painted by Chris. All those models have dashing mustaches. If Jason really wants to paint something for Chris, there's a Smaug that needs to get done. Oh, yeah. That'll be another thing that
So the one thing you will never pull me into is your nefarious Smaug nonsense that you guys have pulled off with this freaking giant damn dragon hanging out. There's no way you're getting me involved in that nonsense.
It's huge.
There is not a single day in my life where I've been like, that'd be cool to paint.
I think as I paint that, it definitely is going to be more simplified, but I do love that model. It's also extremely cool, and shout out to Mike for being fun and sending it to us. And we're always grateful, but it's crazy. Insane. That's what I meant. Yes. Yes, it's a very cool model. Just prime the Giants and let Jason paint them. No, I can't do that now. I'm too deep, Zazin. But yeah, Jason made a good point. Like now I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, I want to try it and redeem myself.
You have nothing to redeem. You are loved in the hobby, Christopher.
You want to know what the cool thing is, though? They're very easy to travel with. And that was sarcasm, if anybody was hearing that. They weigh so much now. 2 of them have actual slate rock on it.
That's right, because you took like rock from a quarry locally to freaking put on them. It was not just like plastic materials.
And then I took actual fur for their pelts, like hobby fur. And I actually put a bunch of light umber in it with some of the basing texture to mat it down to make it look like fur.
It's so funny because they're like big dreadlocks now.
They are, yeah. You can still see the I would call them the GW face on it. So like you can still identify what kind of giant it is, but yeah. Special place. Art of Mike Disney. Raiden with 14. Welcome in, Raiders.
Mike, what's going on, big man? Good to see you. Welcome, Raiders. We're painting Antonio El Tigre, the legally distinct Primarch of the First Legion.
Welcome in, everybody. Definitely appreciate that raid, Mike.
I don't want brown gray. I want warm, dark warm gray, and warm gray. So I'll be, we got white trim that we need to do, so I'll be using warm grays to build my white rather than neutral gray, just so it adds a little bit of color into it.
Doghouse, I've been playing around with Pro Acryl and these techniques and been trying to apply to my Gundam kits. I feel like they're the same, but a little different.
The Gundam kit, like the use of paint on the models? Yeah, Gundam is its own world. It can be painted exactly the same as what you see me doing here, but it depends on where you're trying to get the end product. You know, that clean Gundam plastic. A lot of people use the plastic right out of the box and don't even paint them, you know, and just add like panel lining to them. You know, that's harder to pull off in paint. But I love painting Gundam like 35th scale military right? I like painting it as if it's beat up, war torn stuff. We painted that Gundam no, I forget what it's called. I always want to say it's a unicorn, but it's not. It starts with E. It's a Gundam. It was like a beat up Gundam. It already had lost an arm and was wearing a cape, and I don't know anything about Gundam. But I had a lot of fun as we were painting the beat up white, and showing everybody how they could treat a model like that you don't typically see in the, war torn painting world, because Gundams typically are like big, shiny, tons of spikes. And we beat it up pretty good.
Cape Beardy's asking.
Exia Repair. Bellacor's got it. It's
Exia
the Exia Repair. Correct.
Gotcha.
I used it with the arm missing and the big cloak on it, and I had it dashing forward with a sword arm sweeping. I pissed the entire Gundam world off when I glued it into position. It's still around here. It's in my case, in my office, as a matter of fact. We glued all the joints together to where he's lunging forward and sweeping the sword, and we actually found a 1/100th ground type unit, which is what the Exia would have been fighting. I went back as a non-Gundam person and invested the time to go back through a tremendous library of Gundam stuff to find where this damn Exia suit even exists, because it's not this, like, they're all in different time periods and different stories, and it's almost
a real
like
thing,
it's almost like different timelines. Like, it's not the same world all the time. It's just, we're going to tell a story using these things again, but it's not the same world.
Interesting.
And so the Exia, what it was fighting was not Zaku, because I had Zaku at first, but the Exia didn't fight Zaku. The Exia fought these ground type units, which was very early Gundam. And the ground types were these kind of blocky dudes. And I actually was able to find a 1/100 scale matching the Exia Repair 1/100 scale ground type. I never built the ground type, so I never got it that far. But
Kid Beard is asking a little bit ago, if you want to do the same, he was saying the 6 paints for the non-metallic gold on the bust here. If I wanted to do the same look for painting a 32 mil fig, would you still do 6 paints or use less paint with bigger value jumps?
Is it a trooper or is it a character model? And the reason I ask is that it depends on how much time you want to spend on it. The answer can be yes. You could paint all of your models that way. Or you could skip some of those steps, right? The steps you can't skip are the bright yellow ochre and the bright pale yellow, because those are your color steps. So what you're really cutting out are your undertones, because not all the undertones will show you don't have enough space for it, right? So when you're underpainting, like a lot of people ask, when you're underpainting faces, can you use the same method we did here? And the answer is yes. You just don't put as much detail into it. You do purple below the nose, red across the eyes, bright yellow green on the forehead of a 32 mil like Space Marine, and then you glaze the skin over the top, and you still get the same nice effect. But you don't have to worry about detailing, because there's not as much detail, not as much space to paint. Same thing with the underpainting for non-metallics, is that I would probably start with, I would still want the dark yellow green just for my own personal taste, but that would be up to you. So I might drop the dark purple, just use the dark yellow green. That's what I've done here. Right? So to give you an idea of the difference, there's none of the orange or the purple on these. It's dark yellow green into my yellows. And I think it went dark yellow green, yellow ochre, and then pale yellow here. Right? So I'm only going to get dark yellow green reflective spots. I'm not going to have the purple to pull from. So it'll look a little bit different, but at scale, you can see it looks very similar. You can tell I don't have the orange, because you're lacking that warm spot, like where you get the pops of orange on the lion's head. You won't get the orange here because it's not there. It just goes from greens to yellows. So at scale, you just have to determine what do you want to see, because you could do it with the oranges as well. You just now are putting yourself into a very fine detail painting style, because you're trying to make all those colors show in a very small area. So the answer is, what do you want to do? Because yes, you can, but I would scale it down. If I had a hero, I'd paint it like this, and then on the models, I'd paint it like this. Because on the table, it's going to look like they're all part of the same thing, but the model that is the bigger with the bigger detail is going to look, better, like you spent more time on it. So that's one way to take it.
Quick question from Hoosier. What white would you recommend for White Scar's armor?
How to paint the white?
Yeah.
I would do what I'm doing here. I would start with dark, warm gray, Then I would go to warm gray, then bright neutral gray, and then finally edge highlight with titanium white. The bright neutral gray would act as my white for what most of you would see, or the most of the model that you would see would be bright neutral gray as white.
Hoosier's asking, warm over neutral then?
Warm under neutral. Start with a warm, like I'm doing here. This is dark warm gray. Painting all of the areas that are going to be white. I'm about to do exactly what you're asking. I'm painting all of this white. So
nice. It's happening live.
Live. Ask and you shall receive. Right? So I like the dark warm grays because they're just a little dirty. So for underpainting white, I feel like that's perfect when you're doing stuff like this. 40K, 30K, Space Marines, you know. Stormtroopers, I might start with neutral gray. But I don't know. I'm the kind of guy that I want my stormtroopers to feel like they're in the theater of battle too. That's just the way I like to paint, though. So that's up to you. If you want your stormtroopers to feel like they're like parade rest, or your white scars to feel like they have, perfectly beautiful white polished armor, then you could start with neutral grays and stay through the neutral gray family the whole way. Not a problem with that.
We'll do it live.
We'll fix it in post, according to Chris.
No. Wait, this stream is live?
I know. They told me that today. First time I learned.
It's not live.
We started and Chris goes, "You're live." I said, "What?" I froze. I didn't know what to do.
You're live.
We do this live?
In a 3, 2, and...
I was always astonished that the screen with all the words on it that was scrolling by always felt like it was so in the moment. And they kept telling me it was all pre-recorded. Now he says we're live and my whole life has changed and I'm afraid. I have stage fright.
We jump right into it now, everybody. There's no ifs or buts.
Well, there's a lot of buts.
We're live. You're all just tuning in. Welcome. We are doing this, what do we call it? The Bright Demon? No, Dark Angels.
No, it's Dark Angels.
Did the Dark Angels emblem.
The chapter emblem.
Chapter emblem. We did the non-metallic gold for the last couple days. Black armor last week along with the face.
Which, thank you to anybody that's made such gracious comments on that video. We've had a tremendous outpouring of people loving the edit that Chris has done, pulling from the stream into a more digestible format on YouTube, and we're really stoked that we can finally do that. We've talked about it for years. 9 years we've talked about being able to do this, really.
Yep.
And it's only now that we're finally getting off our butts and making it happen.
Sorry, everybody. My my mic was muted during my little radio host tune-in. Yes, we do appreciate those comments. We are definitely on track. The machine has started. Got a nice black armor workup from last week's VODs coming to you very soon.
Thank you for making that's not what he did at all.
Nope.
It's not what he did.
I was like, no, I made it more palpable, but that also is not good. I am making it more. I'm not doing anything. I'm just holding up the mirror, chat. Just holding the mirror up.
Why is it that all of the things we want to say are like, he's putting it in nice digestible chunks? Oh, wait, no, don't eat the paint. Oh, he's making it in bite size. No, don't eat the paint.
Yeah, it happens to do with food and has nothing to do with food.
Why is it always about eating?
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Chris is killing it. Chris is killing it.
Yeah, sometimes panic bomb. It is the best way to describe it.
Who is Chris killing? Wait, what?
I'm not killing anybody.
Who's he killing?
Not yet.
Why is he killing people? I don't understand.
Baby.
Chris, why are you killing people?
I'm not going to kill anybody.
It doesn't sound... That doesn't instill confidence in me the way that he said that.
For chat, they hear that very loudly, and Jason just hears a dark whisper in the corner.
It's not instilling a lot of confidence in me, chat.
I would
If
never...
I start blinking twice real quick like I did yesterday, I'm going to need y'all to send help.
Chat, I would never kill anybody.
That sounded like
And-
that accept was about to come, or a
Nope.
but.
I wouldn't.
Bro, Krill's people!
Pro Krill's people. I have the proof. Surprise, chat. I'm undercover for 3 years. I'm the one in danger.
Yeah, Chris is killing it. Breaking it down into digestible pieces, making it more palatable,
Wait
showing
a
us how to
minute.
paint our own taste. Wait a minute. That sounds very Dexter-ish.
Panic bomb. Do we need a welfare check
None of us
on
can be
Gabe?
surprised when Chris gets his Dateline episode.
He was just a nice guy.
You know, it's Chris from the big house. He goes, well, they all deserved it.
He was such a good person.
He lit up a room.
He lit up a room. Ted Bundy said the same thing, Chris. Yikes. I am a good man. I stand true. If you're all just tuning in, because I was muted when I said this about 5 minutes ago, we just finished it. Well, we're not finished. See, I almost did it again, chat. We're not finished with certain parts of this model, but we have been working on the non-metallic gold and then the black armor over the last week. Those are on the VODs right now. And Mr. Blue's asking, what's the plan for the fur cape? Paint and highlight each bump, or just kind of a wash?
Paint and highlight each bump, baby.
He's going to fur jail.
Paint
That's
and
what
highlight
that's
each
called.
bump. We don't take shortcuts here.
That's
Paint and highlight everything.
it's a scale jail. That's its own video right there, chat.
Chris asked me if I wanted to do the cloak today, and I was like, no. Because I am looking at it from a perspective of, that's a lot. Can I not?
I know. I went into Jason's office like, hey, what are you going to do on this model? He's like, I'm going to do the whatever that thing.
And he was like, it would be really, it would be cool.
You know what would be cool? You know what would be cool? The fur.
Is
The
if you
fur.
did the fur. And I was like, define cool. That's just one of those. We keep getting asked a lot, when do you know a model's done? What keeps you going when painting a model? Blah, blah, blah. And, there are times where I'll look at a model and I'll say, not today. I don't want to do the cloak today.
Not today.
The cloak will get done.
The cloak will get done. You heard it here, chat, live.
I promise we'll do the cloak.
Nicholas, I thought we were doing the cloak in true metallic metal.
Yeah, that's what they said. Metallic plaid was what somebody told me I was doing it
Metallic
in.
plaid.
I think you're all horrible humans.
I don't know,
And I don't know why you do this to me.
You should make it tiger fur. Could be hilarious.
I just don't think that leopard print is in my future for this. What are we talking about?
Christopher doing his own voice and then Jason's voice is awesome, especially when to do his own voice, Christopher could just talk. No, that'd be too easy, chat.
Yeah, he does kind of step outside himself to make a Chris voice, doesn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
Let's do this. How about the fur, man? Not today. Metallic plaid sounds awesome, says Mo. Yeah, it actually really does.
I'm hating,
Metallic plaid.
hate all of you.
Oh my.
You are not my friends.
One of these days we'll do metallic plaid. There you go.
No, we won't.
55 years from now.
Do not give them hope. Do not give them hope. This is not how this works.
You just T-Schmid, what if you actually did the metallic plaid just to show us and shut chat up?
Oh, see, I know. See, he's reverse logicking it.
He's
Not
like-
quite reverse logic, but he's trying to play that game with me, chat. He's like, but what if you could do something that made us never mention it again? As if that was a
Right.
bonus. As if by dealing, I don't negotiate with terrorists.
Oh my gosh.
I don't negotiate with terrorists, chat. But I swear, we'll never say plaid or hot pink again. I painted a model hot pink for you, and all I've got is more people yelling for hot pink since then. Paint liquor, looking at you.
It was a cool model to paint hot pink. In some reason,
Big ass Care Bear. It was so good.
It came out great.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it was the right model. And when Shelby
It was.
brought it in and was like, you know what? This would be great to paint pink. I was like, you know what? You're not wrong. Let's do it. Damn it. I'm in.
Ghost Hunter. Jason painted a model hot pink for Shelby, not us, chat. That's right.
Yep. 100% true. But I painted a model that was hot pink.
Metallic plaid would come in a soup can. Thor's paw. That is right.
Is it on the shelf next to like fish sphincters?
Oh my gosh. Shelby, Maddie, and Gabe are in LVO.
Oh,
Right
also
now.
true.
So if you're all in the LVO convention or in the Vegas area and want to go, they will be there.
They're
Stop and
setting
say
up right
hi.
now. It is happening, chat.
I think there's a possibility of some wizard's butt.
Oh, there is a new wizard's butt color has
So if you
arisen
go-
for LVO.
I
Chat.
mean, stop by the booth.
A new wizard's butt has arrived specifically for LVO.
What is that color? What
Limited
would you call it?
LVO. It's like tomato red.
I was about to say tomato red.
It's like a tomato red. It's a brilliant color. It's got just a little hint
like
of like
ruby.
purplishness to it. Yeah, it's like, yeah,
Ruby.
it's crazy. It's a great color. Dang, Jordan got kicked off the convention team too.
No.
So we use LVO as a method to train new staff, or not necessarily new staff, but people who want to go to shows and want to learn how to run the trade show. LVO is nice because it's super close. We can drive, so they get the big van, drive the van, and we can take people who are. It's just easier, right, for us to take. So right now, Maddie is going. Addie, who is in our fulfillment team, was also supposed to go, but unfortunately she was involved in a car wreck. So she is not feeling as well as needed to go to a show and have to do show stuff. It's pretty much of a beatdown because, especially at LVO, for some reason they make us go 8 to 7 at LVO. It's so stupid. So we do that. And we noticed last year that the amount of attention to Jordan's live painting at LVO, it's just not a show for that because it's still a tournament. It's not really a convention. And what I mean by that is that all of the bulk of the people, like say 90% of the people that are there to play games. And so when the games are being played in these big 3-hour long rounds, there's nobody on the show floor. Very few people wander in the show floor. So it's just still not a convention like Adepticon is people on the show floor from the time they open the doors to the time it closes. Adepticon also has the tournaments going on, but a lot of people go to Adepticon to shop, to hang out, to play games casually with their friends, to paint, to do all of the other things. So it's probably more of a 50-50 in who goes for what. Whereas LVO is still not there. So yeah, Mo, thank you. Yeah, she's doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
Game delay. You almost didn't join stream day. I would have happily gone through life not knowing there was another Wizards, but
Oh, it's
yeah,
out there.
Taylor T. Schmidt. goes to Adepticon and Hobbies and hangs out. We get to spend a lot of time with him at the show usually, so that's good.
Yeah. Adepticon will be a big one this year.
What? I doubt it. I don't have high hope. I have high hopes. I don't have big expectations for the management of art at Adepticon or at LVO. LVO has been marketed to a crowd that is fundamentally a kick-ass, chew bubblegum tabletop wargaming crowd. And I don't know if the team that owns the show is as interested in growing it into other areas. They may say they are. It just has never really seemed like that. And that's not knocking them. They know what they are, and they do it very, very well. They have the largest singles event in the world, I think, for Warhammer 40K. And, Games Workshop's there. It's a big deal for those people that are in the competitive, gaming scene.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into the gaming scene, great con. I mean, it's a big one.
And they do have art classes, and they've tried to get more of those art classes to have some punch, get some big names out there. Verkos is bringing some bigger names out there. So we'll see after this year how that goes.
Yeah.
We're sponsoring all of the rooms with paint. Charity runs all that. And we're big fans of helping her out.
Spitfire Miniatures resub 4 months, total of 20. Spitfire, thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Always appreciate those subs. If y'all have questions, be sure to tag Monument Hobbies so I see them. Working on the Dark Angels emblem right now.
All right. So now I've done warm gray, dark warm gray. Now I'm going to go to bright neutral gray. And now we'll do it all in song. And for my next one, and the next stroke after the last will be brighter.
The sultry tones of Jason Craze. That sounds way better in the microphone, probably for you, chat. Got my NPR voice going on.
NPR.
Today we'll be painting some excellent painting things. Thank you very much.
Chris, did you post pics of your Nurgle stuff in Discord? He did not. No, I can guarantee he didn't.
I didn't. Okay, I'm writing it down. Hoosier. Keep me accountable, chat. This is good.
See? Got to hold him to it.
This is good. Hoosier. Nurgle. Post. Now. Do. I might. You know what? Chat. We'll see. Maybe after this, there's probably a picture on my phone. I'll find it after stream today. Chris getting all the ASMR out of us. I'm getting all tingly. Oh. Well, my foot fell asleep. Spitfire is saying, I ordered a CF spray, but I'm going to be out of town when it arrives. Can I cancel the order by any chance?
Yeah, if you contact customer service, support at colorforge-na.com.
I just tried out some
of the Colorforge.
The Colorforge.
And it hasn't shipped already, then you're okay. If it's shipped, there's nothing we can do. But yeah, they will typically be able to catch an order so long as it hasn't gone out the door. If you haven't gotten the shipping notification in your email, it means you're probably safe to send it to support, but do it as quickly as you can. And I don't ever guarantee, because they could literally be putting a label on it right now.
Mm-hmm. What's the email for that? Is it
support at thecolorforge-na.com?
All right, Spitfire, that's what it is. Not that, what you posted in chat, but what Jason just said. Welcome in, Lumberjack Tim. Awkward. Speaking of shipping, can confirm Monument Paints will survive in the cold.
Yep.
Iterator, new studio probably has a hot tub as well. We do not have a hot tub.
Don't think we didn't think about it, though.
Awkward says, my stuff got stuck in Indianapolis for 5 days in the storms. 8 days.
Oof.
Ugh, yeah. Man, lots of crazy weather going on
There's
right
a
now.
lot of problems because of like the fires in LA, things going to the West Coast that would normally go through transfer hubs out of Phoenix to LA, completely bogged down. The Postal Service is trying to work around it, but we're being inundated with everybody being mad because their packages are taking a long time, and we're like, I don't know what to do.
Well, and the other thing is too, the Postal Service had that spontaneous day off,
yes,
which was, I think for them, that's great. We get it. But I'm sure it messes a lot of processes up.
Yeah,
just in general.
Yep, that's a tough one to deal with for businesses.
Awkward has got here safe and in great shape. Awesome. Glad to hear that.
Again, I have, the shoulder is only lit, from the direction we can see, right? So I can't highlight just a ton of this. So it's going to have a very stark fall off into that just warm gray that we just did. And that will help to make the transmit from brighter red to darker red work too, as soon as you see me. Oh, that's the wrong color. I nearly painted with warm gray again. I never thought of that, but that's another great reason to use your thumb palette. Because if you go to your palette and get the wrong color, it gives you one last chance to notice that before you put it on the model.
Yep, a lot of crazy storms going on right now. Oh, Hoosier, so speaking of grays, I'm going to paint some wolf-type guys for Conquest. The very tips of the fur will be blue. Since the warm grays have a greenish tint, should I stick to the neutral grays for that, or will it either work with the blue?
Either one will work. Sure.
What color do you plan on doing that fur, Jason?
I haven't really decided. That's another reason why I kind of hedged on doing it today.
Is it like a dark fur? I'd have to look at it. Or is it more like a wolf? I forget.
Well, it's almost like a lion, as if his name were the lion.
I guess that's true.
But I think it's like more of a white pelt.
I'm curious.
I think that on Caliban there is a demonic, because the whole story with Caliban is that it's a forested world like King Arthur's Camelot. And it has dragons and all of the fantasy monsters that King Arthur would have fought. And those monsters are because there's a chaos breach in the planet. And so everybody there is technically tainted with chaos in the eyes of the Imperium, which is where the whole Dark Angels rift and like, are they good, are they bad came from. But they grew up being knightly orders fighting against these demonic beings. And one of them you would have to go out and slay with like just the weapons you could make this beast. And that was your coming of age.
Oh, I think it is a lion.
I think so.
I'm looking at the new 40K model, just like as a reference. Just
kind of a golden.
It literally, like if you look at this, where is it? This right here. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's like a golden, it's like very yellow. And that's why I'm hesitant to do it that way, because we have this non-metallic gold.
Right.
Uh-huh. So it's one of those where you have to think about how it's going to look on the whole model to repeat a color hue family, like yellow on there. So I'm thinking more of a, like a frost tiger, like something that might have a yellow. You can tell it's kind of a dirty white.
Not a Siberian, like a T-Schmid, joking aside, snow leopard would be pretty cool.
Yeah, like something like that, but without, it just something that gives you kind of the yellowishness of it would almost be like the dirt and the mud of it. If you've ever seen like polar bears, they have like this brown muddy fade from their feet to their belly, and then they're crystal white on top. I don't know. The white would be too much too, so I'll play around with it.
Siberian Bengal tiger, white Bengal tiger. Oh yeah, okay. I was just curious on. Oh, white tigers are super cool looking.
Yeah. The Siegfried and Roy had white ones, right?
Tiger stripes, yeah.
No, I'm not gonna do tiger stripes. That doesn't make sense.
Polar bears are wild. Their fur is clear. Yeah, awkwardish. I watched this one video of that I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, where that guy's in that big plastic style.
Oh my god! And they were like, "Dude, that polar bear will get in there."
That polar bear, like polar bears, if
canned meat.
Don't know how big they are. They are
canned meat. Oh,
I believe they're some of the biggest bears
on the planet. Yes, and just pure killers.
Yes,
they are not trying to hang out with you for anything other than meat.
That's literally they need to eat.
They are not farting around.
Yeah.
Yeah, to see that guy in that thing like a dive bell for a shark. I'm like, yeah, the shark will get bored.
Yeah.
Right? Because sharks are inherently lazy hunters because everything's easy for them.
Yep.
Polar bears are not lazy hunters because nothing's easy for them. They will legit like sit there until they crack the can open.
They have to. They have
Didn't it crack the plexiglass on that thing?
I didn't finish it.
It was like inch thick plexiglass or inch and a half, and it cracked the plexiglass where it was connected to a bolt at one point in time.
From my understanding, they have to do that stuff because they know nothing else. They'll just keep going until they die, or they're gonna die if they don't get food.
Yeah. They don't want to hang out and sing Christmas carols while drinking Cokes. I was astonished. I felt lied to.
We were all surprised.
I felt like, that's what, yeah. Travel Cedric says the polar bears will stalk you for days if they're hungry. Yeah, I've heard this.
And eating Klondike bars. Yeah, we were all caught off guard.
Who knew? Who knew? It's like bears in the forest aren't just looking for your Charmin. I feel lied to, and I feel like these companies should be held accountable for putting many people at harm's way.
It's a very interesting concept that Charmin used a bear for toilet paper. I understand like the bear in the woods analogy thing, or I forget where it came from.
Yes, it's a bear poop in the woods?
Yeah, I think that's...
Or it's the Goldilocks thing, right?
Like the comfort, like, oh, it's so comfortable or whatever. Yeah.
It's like somebody slept in my bed. Somebody used my toilet paper.
They will not give you toilet paper, chat.
Our scientists were so wrong on these creatures for so long.
Please do not go near
nice
bears.
Cuddly. It burns.
Chat, we just want to very, very much clarify. Do not go near the bears. Do not eat the paint, and do not go near the bears.
If you do, take lots of video.
Yeah. If you do, take lots of video.
Game Delay says, stalk me for days if they're hungry. Are they my children?
Are they my children?
You need to get that fixed, Game Delay. Damn you, scientists.
Yeah, Game Delay. If you're saying that, we have some problems here.
Let us astray. I love it in eating Klondike bars. Can you see this? Like this polar bear just pulls up Klondike bar, Coke. Hey, sit down. I got extra. I got a cooler full. Mr. Whipple wanted too much money. Oh, that's right. He was the don't squeeze the Charmin guy.
Yeah. Yep. Zaz and polar bears actually have black skin. My headstone's going to be, she died as she lived saying, can I pet it? I'm going to pet it.
Can I pet that dog?
That's funny.
Can I pet that dog? Bears.
Yeah, good old bears.
It's all good till they're hungry.
Yeah, it's all good until
Just
you actually
Grizzly,
see
man.
one.
It's all good till they're hungry.
I was, story time, I was in New Mexico on a 75-mile hike.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of hiking.
It was a 10-day trip, and this was years ago, and I was the head of the line, essentially, one of the days, and about 15 feet in front of me, a big bear ran through the woods, just right in front of me. I didn't hear it coming, but it just ran right past me. Nearly pooped myself, Chad.
How close?
I would say about 30 feet.
Hoofa!
But it was running away, so it was definitely... Bears are definitely generally pretty scared. Obviously, unless it's a mom, then you got a whole different story. But yeah, that definitely... The thumping was like the... I'm like, oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
They would advise us to, when that happens, you get in a big group and you start yelling, right?
Make a noise.
Scaring it.
Making yourself bigger than you are.
Yep. Yes, that was a very, that was actually a very fun trip.
Except for the nearly dying to a bear part.
No, it wasn't. I wasn't that danger, hopefully. I'd like to think so. If not friend, why friend shaped?
Yeah.
Why are you so cuddly?
That's also true.
I'm dead.
If not friend, why so cuddly? Because I would take a bear pet too. Raccoons, bears, mountain lions. I'm a fan.
Game delay. I want my headstone to read, see inside for details. That's
oh
funny.
My God, that's the best.
See inside for details.
Oh my God. Inside package for more information. So good. So good. You want to give me a tight zoom?
Yeah.
You have to think in terms of when you're detailing like silly stuff like this sculpt has got these amazing little
rivets
details. Well, they're holes.
They're not. They're holes.
You gotta find a way to grab the bottom of each of those holes and highlight them. Right. And I'm even gonna do a little bit of that back here if I can. Because I like having those details be visible. Right, even on the shadowed side immediately makes it a harder material than if you don't paint it. If you don't paint it, it could be cloth, it could be, something softer. As soon as you put a hard edge to it or a hard edge highlight to it, it immediately brings it back into, plastic, metal, a material that would be harder and probably more cold when you touch it.
If you're all just tuning in, welcome. It is we're getting close to 4 p.m.
No way, dude.
What?
No, it's 3:30. It's 3:30.
Don't say that. 3:40.
3:30.
Oh my
3:38.
goodness.
It's fine.
Still.
I told somebody the other day, chat, and this is saying something. Since we redid the studio and the new format and you guys loving it so much, I have had such a blast on stream that when 4 o'clock comes, I'm actually sad.
Flabbergasted.
I'm actually sad. I don't want it to end. I want to keep painting with you, gang. So thank you for making our transition to this new studio setup and format as awesome as it has been.
Yes, it's definitely very, very focused. Also, we were talking about it definitely requires a lot of different energy. You got to be on it.
Yeah,
in a good way.
We're actually thinking of it in terms of delivering good, recordable and repeatable content so that you get it high energy, high value kind of thing going on here.
Panic Bob says my headstone will say they tried to contact him about his car's extended warranty. We tried so many times. We were going to tell him his car was not good.
It was a good shadow to that part. Might catch a little bit of this right here. Just for...
So we were establishing that the emblems are typically on these things some type of metal, but you were saying it was a different...
I like to think so. I mean, you can imagine like these pauldrons are servo driven to deflect bullets. So if you're going to put anything on them, it better not be made out of plastic.
What brush are you using? Is it a 2?
I'm using number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah. Number 4 round. It's pretty big.
I said shoulder is looking great.
Yeah, once you get rid of that part just being in primer, now it starts to bring the gold and the black armor together too. Right? It's funny how like the cloak right now being in black primer makes the whole head and shoulder area look funny because sometimes to the background it disappears. visually it becomes so dark with dark primer blacks and stuff, like the inside of his hand is nondescript. You almost forget he has a sword looking at it because you can't even see it. It just goes away because it doesn't have any color to it. So, it's I'm at the point on the model where I kind of need to put a base coat on everything and stop leaving things in primer coat, because now everything plays a big part in how it all is going to come together over time. But I will go in with just a hair of titanium white.
I'll zoom in here a little bit more for you too.
And titanium white will be the brightest color on the model. I stay away from it. I use it very sparingly. The bright gray, the bright neutral gray, plays very well as a white. You understand what that's supposed to be. It's intended to be white, but I still want to be able to catch an edge highlight on it that makes it a little bit brighter. And that needs to be white. And this will be brighter than our bright pale yellow that's on the gold if we're not careful. So we need to make sure that we don't put excessive amounts of white on the model. We just hit the areas like right along here where we've already set up that we have this brighter shine, right, because of all of this. So we'll just do a little bit of white there.
Heart shape, first time chat. This looks like a cool guy. That's so well painted. Thank you. We appreciate it. If you check out the past week's VODs, you'll see the entire workup of this. Anthony L. Tigre here. Heart shape, I wish I was that good. Heart shape, you can get that good. Practice.
%.
Yeah, you can check out.
You can
all
paint
of
like me a
those.
lot quicker than I learned to paint like me.
Yeah.
You have all these things at your disposal. I kind of flew through it aimlessly as a kid. 40 plus years of painting without any direction.
Yeah, check out those past VODs, Heart shape. They're great. We started on the 6th of January on this guy.
Just match that brightest area of that with the area that we've set with our shine across here. And now the white doesn't overtake the gold because we leave enough of the bright neutral gray showing to calm it down a bit. And make sure I get most of the paint off of my brush by putting it on my thumb palette, especially when I'm doing very thin edge lines. I don't want to have a lot of material on the brush, because if I hit that little spot, it'll make a big blob of paint. I don't want a big blob. I just want it to run along that edge real briefly like that.
Heartbox, and for everybody else who might be new in chat, we stream 2 to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 days a week. Heartbox, I think I found my new favorite stream to chill with. Yeah, welcome in.
Awesome.
Love having you.
We do tons and tons of different stuff. If you're not familiar with Monument Hobbies, we manufacture pro acrylic paint. So we are one of the world's leaders in hobby paints. And we do this show 5 days a week to hang out with our wonderful community and get people hyped about painting models. Regardless of the paint or brushes or materials you're using, we're here to help inspire you to try new things, enjoy this lovely world of fantasy and sci-fi in artwork. Because there's so many cool things, whether you just want to treat it as a getaway after a long day at work, or if you really want to teach yourself the extreme levels of painting and go to painting competitions, we got you. We can teach you everything you need to know.
Vita Melka, welcome in. Vita Mecca? Mecca? Yeah, Mecca.
For the low, low price of free Thrifty free.
Vitamecca, I just dipped my toes into Pro Crow with your white and black paint so far. I'm very impressed. So I'll be getting more shortly. Awesome. Jason is using Bold Titanium right now on the Doots and the Deets.
Yeah, just
the scritches and the scratches.
Few scritches and scratches. White is a dangerous color, right? I don't want to use too much of it. I don't want it to get too bright and overtake what I'm doing. But being able to do a couple of scratches, get a couple of highlights, highlight the upper area of the angel in the cloak, but not the lower one, so that the bright neutral gray highlights that we put down low stay bright, but the white pops those out above it, and now we get a good kind of blended highlight on the side of the shoulder plate. You can bounce back out if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have the shoulder trim done.
Nice. Source, I love how Chris is saying we as if he's adding the Doots and Deets. I'm right here. I know.
Steal my thunder, we call that. Steal my thunder. Jason, that was awesome how I just did that.
Hey, Jason, I'll take over from here.
Chris is like, Jason just sits there and acts like the painter. It's really Chris's hands, since you can't see him. It's really Chris that's doing the painting.
So it's my pants, Jason, my hands, Jason's face.
What if right now, as after I said that, I was sitting here drinking water and Chris's hands just grabbed the model and started painting?
That's right. One of my goals is to get Jason's exact tattoos, and you guys will never know the difference.
I actually don't have any tattoos.
They're all drawn on every day.
So we just draw them on
every day. He takes 4 hours before Chad to make every other.
Chris is Jason's Loki. He just upstages me at every turn.
Oh, my goodness.
Steals my thunder.
Oh, it's a collective we, chat. We the people. We the viewer.
Oh, Rokheim, yeah. Doing the Celestine for the wings, yeah. Titanium white's just that's the first paint we ever made. And our goal was not to be a paint company initially. I just got very frustrated with white paint, painting a model one day, and made paint on stream, mixed up our white, and everybody in stream went crazy. 100+ people were like, "We'll buy it." I was like, "Great, we'll make some." So Jen and I made a batch of I don't know, I think it might have been 30 bottles of paint, and they immediately sold out in 5 minutes. And we're like, "Oh, maybe we have something here." So we kept making it. And we just called it Special White, and it was in little cheap plastic bottles we got off of Amazon.
Someone brought that, I think, to Nova.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember who brought it.
Yeah, we had
Big Bob?
Big Bob's brought his,
I think it was Big
but
Bob,
people had brought by their old Special White. It was just a frosted clear bottle with a green top, and we would hand draw a little red heart on it and our logo. And people still have them. We have people that don't have it. That one that this year at Nova was brought had not ever even been opened.
Oh, I know. It's a relic.
Yeah, it's still unopened.
Absolute
and
relic.
You could shake it, and the paint was still good. I was like, heck yeah, that's awesome.
Heart shape. Do you guys ever show how to make paint?
Not anymore, no.
No.
Now it's an industry secret. Now we have to protect our goods.
Did do that video. He gives you a tour. Heart shape, or Hoosier was saying that.
Oh yeah, when Scott was here, we did a workup where I let him make a color paint he wanted to make out of our raw pigment slurries, and showed how I come up with colors. But no, we don't go through all of the mixings to make the actual paint anymore, because that was just off the shelf stuff that I used back then. Now it's actually proprietary formulation that we use.
Vita Mecca, your white is the best miniature paint white I've used so far.
Thank you. Yeah, we put it up against anything. We put our paints up against anything. They're fantastic. It's, as a painter, it's kind of it's a very selfish paint line, because it's the colors and the style of paint that I enjoy painting with. Not that I knew that going in, but as we were developing it, it's like, I want it to do this. Oh, it would be great if it did this. And then so we start fine-tuning it to get it to where it really feels great to me as a painter. And I think that's really important, not because I sit back and say, the world paints with my paint, but more because I'm like, my confidence in our paint is bar none as high as it can go. I use our paint every day here live on stream. I make all the colors, and we stand behind it 100%. And we can show you, we'll have people that'll have issues with the way that they've painted with other paints in the past. And so they'll have issues with our paint. Maybe they over thin or do whatever they've done with other manufacturers' paint lines to compensate for the other manufacturers being a little bit thicker, a little harder to work with, whatever. And so we'll have them come on stream and ask, and they'll say, oh yeah, you know, whenever I'm painting with red or whatever, I get this thing, and we'll show them how to paint, and then they're like, oh my god, I didn't even know I was over thinning, or I didn't know you need to do this, or so. Just the effort we put behind, I think, is worth it. And I don't know that I'd do that if I mean, obviously I need to learn to like painting with the paint we make. Yeah, Vector. That was always my thought. I'm a product developer at heart. It's what I've done for decades and decades. And so if we're going to develop a product, we say it all the time at Monument, we won't make that we don't use. So every product we sell is a product that we use in the studio, in our own projects, every day, day in and day out. We travel with our go bags. I'll be going to LVO with a go bag. Well, I may not, because I don't think I'm taking any paint. I've got to take flyers and stuff for Gabe if they show up. So, but when I travel and paint, I use all the same stuff, use all the brushes. The only thing we make is what we use. Unlearn the bad habits from other stuff you've used. Yeah, we make paint from the art supply side of things, from the fine art side of paint, rather than from the hobby side of paint. So our paint is different to use for sure. And we're very sensitive to that and supportive of that as we teach people how to learn. We'll have a bunch of videos coming out that are, years too late almost. The paint's been around for, coming up on 7 years. And
someone was just asking, when was you sorting through old videos by date? When was the one you made the white? Do you have any?
It would not have been recorded.
That's years
no, it wouldn't have been
ago.
archived. That would have been
how many years ago?
2000 and early 2016.
Okay, yeah, that was a while ago.
So yeah, what is that? 9 years?
Yeah,
coming up on 9 years.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, that we wouldn't have that archived. Because we weren't moving videos to YouTube back then, and Twitch gets rid of all that.
Yeah, unless you
which is unfortunate. All those
massive
years,
hard drive of downloading each and every stream.
We had a viewer at one point in time, but we even wasn't in that time frame. We had a viewer in 2000 during COVID. We had one of our viewers, good friend of the channel, who was moving all of the Twitch stuff to a hard drive, and had tons and tons of files that we have that we could post back up, but they're kind of low quality. Because of the compression going into Twitch, and then the compression coming out on the download, and the compression onto the hard drive, and now off the hard drive, and it's they're not really worth using. So it's a bummer. That's why we've invested so much this year to create the new studio and to make the content to where Chris is able to grab content live here on stream and have it look like it's pre-recorded content, stuff that we spend, time, because we just don't have the time,
No, you have to. We have to kill a lot of birds with one stone, and that's what we're doing here.
Rokheim, I've been phasing in Procurl as you go through my stock of Citadel. It's so good and easy to use, and you don't have 3 different styles. It's all one paint type. Yeah, exactly. I understand the naming of things, certain stuff, because then you can, number one, you can sell more paint if you tell people you need a special paint for everything you do. The only thing you need is a primer and then paint. That's it. And a varnish or a clear, and the mediums that you want to use that change the way the paint acts. But that's the way our whole line is built. We will make mediums that go into the paint to make it do the other things you want to do. Doesn't mean we make washes. There was a long time where I said we probably won't make our own washes, so we made the glazed wash medium. And then we came out with some pre-colored washes. Now we're coming out with 4 more pre-colored washes because the convenience of it is nice, and we understand that. But we don't think you need to buy a different type of paint, to do something that you could do with the paint you have right in front of you. Buy it once, enjoy the colors, learn the colors. Every color, once you love it, you can use it for everything with our paints, as opposed to having to buy some other kind of color if you want to dry brush with it, and it's not quite the same color as it's named for on the other ones. I hate that. Airbrush lines, that's silly. I look at some of our competitors, and their airbrush version of a color is completely different than the main range version of that color, but you'll buy both of them thinking you're getting the same thing, and they're totally different. That bums me out.
Darth and Scale love the line of the translucents. The transparents are some of the greatest out there.
Oh yeah, some of the most flexible paints we use.
Awesome.
Yep, 100%. You fell down the Monument paint line hole. Am I reading that in there? You fell down the Monument hole 3 years ago, and it's absolutely fantastic. Welcome, thank you, Pro Paint Taster. That's awesome. Yeah, Sugar Rush says I don't like mixing. Mix it for me. I pay you for that. You mostly have paints by Andrea? Yep. Andrea is another good line that makes paint with more of a fine art approach, so that paint does what you expect paint to do. So we really respect that. The Chimera team makes paints that are built off of a fine art mentality. So we've always said that Pro Acrylic is fine art paint in liquid form, not house paint in small bottles, because the bulk of the world has their paint made by coatings companies whose real business is making house paint. So, not that that's bad. It's just a different science behind how you make your colors and what they're meant to do. And ours are meant to be like fine art paints that mix and do everything like you're supposed to. You like gray that looks greeny, like a German gray? Nice to see warm gray in use today. If you wanted to make it cool green gray, what might you pair that with? Perhaps a glazed or desaturated green highlight. So I like mixing the warm grays with the camo greens. Faded green and camo greens are amazing. So if I grab faded green and like dark camo green,
one of my favorites.
These two colors are spectacular for any of your kind of military drabs, because the faded green into any of the greens, even the yellow green, so you could take like dark yellow green if you were doing something more like a Russian green, right? And the faded green crosses boundaries and lets you tint them, make them brighter, but also because of it's such a desaturated green, it fades them out like you would have in that military spectrum of like faded sun-baked green paint or clothing. And so if you wanted to do a green, you could take like those, and then the warm grays, you could mix in just regular warm gray into it to desaturate it a little bit, and you'd get a really, really amazing color.
I love faded green.
I am looking at a military line of colors. I am looking at up to 48 colors that we would do in national color code for World War II, and perhaps a few early Korean colors. I can't guarantee what those colors would be, but I'm not going to make a huge line of them. I'm going to do things like Panzer Gray, German Field Grau, Dunkelgelb, the U.S. olive drabs, the official drabs, some of the British and Russian colors, mostly centered around the major factions in World War II, because that covers the gamut of major colors that you would get.
Be cool.
None of the Japanese colors are really special. They're more like the greens of the British and the U.S. and all that. So I think we can make a small condensed line that handles a lot of that. It won't please the diehard rivet counters, but it'll get a lot of the people that are painting 1/35 scale or want to try to go into scale modeling further down the road. So that's one of my plans in the next 2 years. So we'll see. Scale model muse, yep. Yeah, I come from that world. And, it's funny, it's that, I am old enough, ancient enough, as it were, that I've had to mix colors my whole life. And because I couldn't afford the special Tamiya colors when they came out in the U.S., and when acrylic started being available, I had already started mixing everything. So I'm just old man yells at clouds. I feel like mixing is such an important part of painting no matter what, because you're never going to get the perfect scale of colors. Some of our competitors have started making like triads that include like 6 colors, because you're starting to show the fallacy of that whole thing, is that in order to go from dark to light, you need more than 3 colors, right? You need to mix in between. My whole class at Adepticon, I don't do classes very often, but I'm doing one this year, is how to take 3 colors and make it look like a lot more colors by mixing fractional mixes of those 3 colors in between each one to get a nice blend without having to actually blend anything. And once you start getting that in your brain, then every color becomes more useful for you, and you can break out of thinking in terms of, well, this blue highlight isn't quite bright enough to make it look the way I wanted to. You're going to have to mix something into it. And so once you get that, it'll be really nice. Dunkelgasm.
I noticed you guys have fluorescent lamp, no blue. Do you use sky blue for that?
I'm sorry, what was the question? For sky blue?
For fluorescent lamp, no blue.
Sky blue or really transparent blue over white is what we'll use to get a very punchy white that you want as a glow for like plasma and stuff. The goal of the fluorescent line was more as an effect paint for OSL. And the transparent blue is going to give you a way better approach to that than any fluorescent blue paint I can make. We tested fluorescent blue. I was not happy with it. Both sky blue over white and transparent blue over white gave me better range. The fluorescent blue always washed out. It didn't look right. The paint actually has a chemical reaction with light that allows it to fluoresce, and the blue is the worst of them. So it didn't match my approval. I felt like it was a gimmick that I didn't want to, because I was not looking for paints that glowed under UV. That wasn't necessarily what I was trying to do. I just wanted really robust, bright, vibrant paints that when you do OSL, they pop off the page with the lights on. That was the goal. And so the colors that we came out with were the best ones for that. Yeah, Louisa said it's fantastic. Sure.
Oh, 100%. It's a great color. It's a great.
Just wait till everybody's come out and you have processed cyan, processed magenta, processed yellow, the titanium white, the Mars black, those things, it'll blow your mind. If you like painting with 4-color heavy bodies, they're going to blow your mind.
Yeah,
Matte finished heavy bodies that are just second to none. I'll blow Winsor Newton and anybody else on the planet away. Schminky, they're all of them can fade into the distance. Our heavy bodies are going to blow your minds.
Louise did a great video with her set mixing, I believe, coal black and bold titanium white as for mixing, I believe. She has a good one using her set.
Yep. Yeah, all you need is a white and black. The satin black works really well.
Can we get a black metallic color? You could use the medium.
Black transparent and dark silver is your best bet. Black transparent and any of the golds, but basically black transparent into any of the colors will give you a really dark beaten version of that color. It'll desaturate it and move it towards black. Dark silver and transparent black is my favorite mix. Will we make a black metal? It might happen, but you already have it. I would basically just be doing the same thing. I would just give it to you pre-mixed.
Magnesium and transparent black would be cool too.
Oh yeah, magnesium's already super dark, so it'll get dark really, really quick and be kind of a wrought iron look.
If y'all haven't tried magnesium, that is such a fun metallic color.
Bud says, I have Christmas money burning a hole in my pocket. Any timeline on the new brush set? March-ish? March, April? Yeah, the satin black is more of what you would call a true black. The coal black is so matte that it has a gray tinge to it. It's not gray. It's black. It's just that the more you matte black down, the less of a black it really is. That's what the hubbub around that ultra black, world's blackest black is that it retains an inky black coloring and also reflects no light. Usually black as it gets matte. Like if you see somebody wrap their car with a matte black wrap, it's really gray because that's what the diffused lighting across the surface of a matte finish. The light is still bouncing off of it. It's just bouncing across the surface. It makes the black kind of gray. I tend to use coal black and transparent black, but the satin black I'll grab for base rims and anytime I need a real strong black on a model. It's fantastic. And larger bottle options, I run out of coal black and black green so much. Larger bottles would be nice. Oh my God. The problem is that the larger bottle question comes in for the most popular colors, as you would imagine, right? People want jade, people want black, dark purple, white. Obviously, they'd love to have 120 ml bottles of all of that stuff. Yeah. And the economy of scale of doing the 120 ml bottles is really tough for our formula. It sounds silly, but I have to take the big batch cost and break it into enough bottles, small bottles, that if I made it cost the right amount, it would not just scale as its multiplier of paint into bottles.
Gallon sizes.
Yeah, it's tough. It's so tough. People, we may used to make fun or make jokes about making growlers. The scale model is like, no, we want all of them in 120 mil. Well, everyone, thank you so much. Great questions as always. Thanks for driving content on the show. Hope you had a good time. If we can check out the model one more time today, we spent a moment working on the shoulder insignia, where we took and did the red using burnt red, pyro red, orange red, and then a little bit of warm flesh to get that kind of salmony highlight, and then pale pink. So neat work up there, keeping the shadows where we only went up to the orange red in the shadows and didn't do any of the pale pink. And then did the white of the insignia with warm gray, dark warm gray, bright neutral gray, and then titanium white as a finisher. So easy color schemes to get that done. And now we start getting a lot more of what the finished product will look like. We still need to get color on the cloak. There's a couple of straps down the sides of his chest that need to get done. You'll notice that real dark area there has some color that'll go in on it, which will most likely be white. And then the sword that I keep forgetting even exists, because at this angle we keep showing you, it just kind of disappears into shadow, right? It's like it just looks like I forgot to paint a part of his hand. But yeah, so I will not be here tomorrow. I'm going to the Las Vegas Open. I will be back on Monday. Tomorrow you'll be painting with Chris and Jordan. They've got some fun lined up for you, but please tune in. Remember, we stream Monday through Friday here from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time in Phoenix, Arizona from our HQ. We'd love to see you back, so hit the follow button. Sign up for all of the Bell stuff on YouTube and Twitch so that you get the announcements when we go live. Join our Discord. You get a live announcement announced to the community in Discord every day when we go live there. and you have, I don't know, 5,000, there you go, 500,308 amazing raccoons as a unit of measurement using artists in the Discord. I love it, Ghost Hunter. Always on point. Thank you so much. We have an amazing community, great inspiration, great pet and memes. It's a great place to hang out and make new friends in the hobby. So join us on our Discord. Stick around. We're going to find somebody to raid and show some love in the chat we wind up in. And if you're not going to be at LVO and I don't see you before the weekend, live and in person, then I'll catch you back here on Monday. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful evening.